This is the last call for Synchronicity University's Choose Your Tuition Rate as low as just $5 a class. It ends on April 30th, and then incredible new programs are going to start for this May. Living legends, new techniques, world-class astrologers, and so much more. Learn more and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of April 28, 2024. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time, and it truly is special. The sky just will not let up. I know that April was quite intense. There were events taking place every single week that asked us to look at ourselves, to grow, to change, to get honest in ways that weren't always easy. And it has felt like a bit of a roller coaster to some people out there. And this week has a particular intensity. And again, it's like the sky isn't letting up. Next week, we do have a bit of a breather with a new moon set to take place in the sign of Taurus that is overall quite nice and harmoniously placed. But the following week, we start that week on the most shocking day of the year. We end the week on the luckiest day of the year. So you can see there is a lot going on still ahead. And this week is no exception to that. And that is because it is going to be on Thursday that Pluto goes retro. When a slow-moving outer planet goes retrograde, it tends to be the build-up to that energy that we feel more. And that is because that period of moving towards the retrograde, especially the days before, are what astrologers call the station. And this is where Pluto appears to be standing still in the sky. When a planet is standing still, it is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. And that heightens its symbolism. It heightens the sense of how much we're going to feel its energy, its power. The planet of power, profound and meaningful. The thing is, though, that intensity of experience, of emotion itself, has a certain addictive quality. And I think that's why Pluto represents one face of addiction. The outer planets in particular speak very strongly to understanding addiction from different lenses. But it is Pluto that welcomes in experiences that have us delving in, because it is that sense of emotion being high. It is that sense of the roller coaster that can be desire, that can be anger, that can be passion, that can be a sense of intensity. Well, there is an addictive quality to it because it takes us out of our mundane existence. It helps us to feel the energy of life itself. And yeah, that can be quite a high, or at the very least, it can be enough of a distraction so that we don't think about how the mundane to us has become numbing in some way. But the truth is that it is in the mundane that peace is actually found. When you can find peace there, then when those roller coasters of life come along, which is a part of the world that we've created, you know you're going to be okay, because your normal way of operating through the world is from that place of calmness and peace within. From there, just about anything else becomes easier to handle. And that's not to take away from the fact that Pluto standing still, Pluto going retrograde, can be a difficult energy for some of us, especially where it is that we have accepted situations and qualities that maybe are not fair in some way. And in some extreme cases, I'm sorry to say, but yeah, where it really is that we're in the middle of some experience that seems cruel to us, the pain of that, the reality of that might come right to the surface at this time. We are forced to look at how messy things actually are and to admit some difficult truth to ourselves. And the key is that it is likely difficult. That's the thing with Pluto. Pluto doesn't do things easy breezy, right? Pluto has intention. And part of the intention is to admit to ourselves what's really going on. Where it is we've poured a lot of energy in a particular direction, well, if we've wasted that energy, we're looking at that now as well. But there is something different this time with this particular Pluto station retrograde. And that is the fact that as Pluto shifts direction, does so while speaking in harmony with Mars. It is on Tuesday that Mars moves into the sign of Aries, its home sign. So here Mars is able to operate at its very best. I mean, think about it. When you're home, chances are you're more relaxed, right? You get to put on clothes that help you to feel more comfy. You get to feel as if you don't need to have a filter so much. And there's a greater sense of vitality to be found now. But immediately as Mars moves in here, reaches out and begins to connect in harmony with a Pluto at the height of its power, perfecting that harmonious connection on Friday, well, this is very special because this speaks to a sense of understanding what action is going to help us to feel empowered. Now, very often it is something we can actually do. That is possible, especially with Mars in the sign of Aries. But it's also about how it is that we might be conceptualizing or thinking about things in a way that energizes us or not. We're able to see it now differently. Now, there is the possibility, of course, with us having an understanding that shifts something within, and that ends up making all the difference. But sometimes it's that life on the outside shows us what's really going on, and whether we like it or not, this is the reality that we find ourselves in this moment. And as a result, we have to respond. Doing nothing is a type of response, and that may be appropriate given your unique circumstances. But even under the guise of doing nothing, there's something that is happening still. Whether you're thinking about it, you're talking about it, you're seeking to understand, you're seeking wisdom at a time when the energy, the emotion can feel very strong. These are healthy ways to use this time. For some people out there, where it is that circumstances in our life have become unbearable, like maybe there are people in our lives who are addicted to drama, who are creating drama, and as a result, they are tiring us out. They are draining us of energy. The truth of that is going to be undeniable, but so will an understanding that you can do something about it, and you get to decide. Now, that might include having a conversation, right? Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius, an air sign. It's all about speaking those things that have been difficult to say out loud, especially within groups, especially as a way to know that you are not alone. To say it out loud, even to just one person, can go such a long way to transforming the energy. In fact, I think that once a thing is spoken, it has already shifted. It has already changed. But there's a decidedly physical quality to whatever it is that we're feeling now. And that takes us back to Mars in the sign of Aries, an energy that is visceral, that we feel within. And where it is that certain dynamics are now affecting our energy, not just peace of mind, but that we physically are feeling spent as a result. Well, it is now that we understand what valuing ourselves, what holding ourselves actually looks like, and how we're going to make the best of this given moment. An opportunity to learn about what it is that helps us to feel powerful, quite literally and physically powerful, how we might use our words and our thoughts and our minds, and what it is now that's going to help us to feel strong becomes that much more clear. It isn't a gift that just sort of shows up, right? It is a harmonious connection between Mars and Pluto, but the thing is that this is the type of conversation that astrologers call a sextile, meaning that it is energy that invites action. It's like we see that there's something we can do to improve our circumstances, and as a result of doing it, we create a momentum that allows blessings in. When it's a trine, right? Trines are different. Trines are just so blissful and easy, and we're laying back and we think life is always going to be amazing. And it can be, right? In some ways, we can always have something to appreciate about our lives. But there are some who believe that the sextiles actually are more powerful than the trines, because the sextiles give us control. It isn't just that we're waiting, but rather we're identifying and taking action. And in the process of action, really, we are redefined. We see ourselves differently. That's the gift and the beauty of Mars in the sign of Aries. It's an invitation to begin again, to understand our very valuable energy and how it is that we're going to direct it in a way that helps us to feel at peace while also feeling strong and sure about the truth of who we are. As we start the week, Neptune is at 28 degrees, and by the end of the week is going to be at 29. Now, this is where Neptune is going to get and is just going to hang out. It's going to hang out for the next 5 months at 29 degrees. I'll tell you, this is something I've been talking about for years. I think I spoke about it in the Decade Ahead video scope as well. I'll try to remember to link that below here on my YouTube channel that I recorded. It was either in 2018 or 2019, but I know since at least then, I've been talking about the fact that it is going to be this year in May that Neptune gets to 29 degrees. And first, that meeting, though, of Mars and Neptune, it's like the energy of Neptune becomes undeniable. It gets the adrenaline and steroid shot that is Mars visiting it. And in an instant, it may feel as if a lot of us are swimming in some imaginary space, living in some alternate reality, seeing things from a perspective that is fantastical, or just feels as if you wish that there was a more rational way to help somebody understand what it is that ultimately is a feeling. And that's all that they can see now. There can be great things about that, right? This meeting of Mars and Neptune at the beginning of the week can be wonderful if you're a musician or a poet or an artist, because it is that sense of being able to channel a blissful energy, channeling the divine that allows something forward that feels that much more inspired, which can be a beautiful thing. And I think a lot of us are going to feel very deeply moved by music, especially at the beginning of the week. We may see some examples of that. But it is as we get to the end of the week, and by that point, Mars is in a whole other energy. It's speaking to Pluto on Friday, and we get to Saturday, and we have Neptune officially arriving at 29 degrees. And this is where confusion and just a feeling of bafflement might start to set in as we look around at our world, as we look around at the collective. But I think that this is actually incredibly valuable energy. Again, I know I've been talking about this in so many contexts here on YouTube and classes and talks that I've given as well. I believe that it is what happens now over the course of the rest of the spring and summer as Neptune hangs out at 29 degrees, right? This is hyper imagination, hyper fantasy, hyper spiritualism. And of course, there are wonderful things about that, right? It's a healing balm. It's a time of creativity, and working with illusion can create incredible movies as well. Neptune is very associated with the whole Hollywood industry, if you will, and the glamour of it. But this is where I think that we as a collective are going to start having experiences that feel so disconnected from rationality that it'll serve as a touchstone, especially once we enter into next year. Now, it will be between September and November that we're going to get Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn to kind of wrap up that cycle we've been in since 2008 before moving back into Aquarius for a good 20 years. And that energy of Pluto in Aquarius is hyper rationality. And I feel like it's that energy that is going to come about. As a collective, we're going to start moving in that direction of hyper rationality based on the disconnect with rationality we are going to see starting now and as we move forward. We'll be able to see, yes, we've got a little bit of that Pluto Aquarian energy, so there's benefits to seeing things in a balanced way, to looking at the empirical evidence of what appears to be true, what is proven to be true, as opposed to just what we feel and what we think, and we feel very caught up in an energy of what's right. And a spiritual mission, if you will, is part of Neptune at 29 degrees. And just hanging out there, it brings this concentrated sense of people who believe they're doing the right thing but creating pain, but also extreme examples of compassion that are a result of that. But that compassion would not be necessary were it not for the extreme sense of how it is that we may see examples of people getting very caught up with and very carried away on a wind of faith, on a wind of belief, rather than seeing things from a more balanced perspective, from a more humanitarian perspective. Aquarius energy is, after all, of the humanitarian, and that requires a sense of willingness to understand. And I think that's going to be hard for a lot of us out there. And I'm sorry to say it is part of the energy of this time, but it is as far away from a rational approach that we take now that is going to determine the sort of boomerang effect, that snapback that is set to happen, especially once we get into next year and energies start shifting in very big ways. We're going to start experiencing Neptune moving, giving us a taste of being in Aries. We're going to get a taste of Saturn in Aries. We're going to start getting a taste of Uranus in the sign of Gemini as well, another air sign. So this larger configuration called the Grand Sextile, it is going to kick into high gear in 2026 and 2027, but we'll start feeling it next year. And that is when we launch into a new world that much more. I know I've been telling you that the world we have at the beginning of the 2020s will be a very different world by the time we get to the end of the 2020s, and the years of some of the most important transitions that are going to occur, and the years that launch us in that direction of the new and the next. Well, they're set to be those years of that huge configuration playing out called the Grand Sextile. But it is now that, in many ways, how we as a collective and as humanity choose to use that Grand Sextile, it is going to be rooted in what happens now. And the more it is now that we allow ourselves to get carried away on fancy and fantasy, and get carried away on an energy that ultimately we might look back on and realize is rather self-righteous. And this is something we may see on collective levels, we may see in ourselves as well. And if we see it in ourselves, and that allows us the ability to work on it, that's really when we're able to contribute to the collective that much more. Because where it is that we're willing to at least have our faith, have our belief, have our compassion as well, but also seek to understand, that's where we bring balance. But regardless of how we choose to access this energy, understand that once we navigate forward, it is what happens now that is going to serve as the foundation from which the world, the collective, responds in powerful ways. As fantastical as it goes now is as rational as it's set to go. starting at the very end of this year, but especially once we set into 2025. Also this week, Venus. Yes, let's not forget about Venus. Venus will not be forgotten. I recently taught a class on outer planet transits. It was just such a rewarding class. And I was telling the story of Psyche on the Styx and her affair with Cupid, and how all these people from around were coming to tell Psyche and her family just how gorgeous she was, and how Venus got jealous. Venus didn't like that. And so Venus ended up taking away Cupid, because that's her kid after all, she can do it, which was a great love of Psyche's life. And Psyche really wanted to be with Cupid. So she was like, okay, Venus, what do you want me to do? Tell me what to do. And she gives Psyche all these tasks that are near impossible. And all these deities and gods sort of step in. They see what Venus is doing. They don't think it's very fair. And they step in to help out Psyche. And still, Venus wouldn't stop. She kept giving her more tasks and more tasks, until the gods sort of got together and said to Venus, Venus, can you stop being a bee? Can you stop doing this to Psyche? I mean, poor Psyche, you're here, you're a goddess. Why are you testing her like this? Why are you doing this? And then they made her kind of chill out a little bit and remember something about who she is, the things that she can feel good about. She doesn't have to be in competition with Psyche, and she can let her son love Psyche and let Psyche love her son, and still be the most gorgeous, worshipped, beautiful goddess of all. No worries there. She has that title. So they helped her to feel sure about that, more confident in that, where she was feeling insecure. And that sort of calmed her approach to Psyche going forward from there. Now, all of that is to say, Venus is going to change signs, is going to move into its home sign of Taurus as we start the week on Monday. And so just Venus moving into Taurus is great, right? Again, a planet in its home sign, it's able to bring forward its very best qualities that much more. But what happens is on Wednesday, with Pluto standing still in the sky, right? Technically stationary retro, with an emphasis on the stationary, gearing up to go retro, Venus will square that Pluto. And that's where all of the story of what Venus chose to do, how Venus, forgetting who she is, tried to make it difficult for others, because she thought on some level her unenlightened self, yes, Venus, the gods can be unenlightened as well, according to the ancients. She thought that in so doing, in making Psyche smaller, in making Psyche do things that were supposed to be impossible tasks, and really what she was trying to do is get Psyche killed, right? She was trying to get rid of Psyche. And she wasn't just going out and just doing it, but rather giving her these brutal tasks, sending her to the underworld and all of that. It was Venus that was motivated to do those things because she forgot about the fact that she is a goddess. And she was choosing to behave in a way that ultimately was unbecoming of her. And that's what others needed to remind her of. And I think we're going to see ourselves respond and behave in ways that actually may show us things that demonstrate that we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten our worthiness. We've forgotten that we can be in whatever it is that is our unique beauty and be comfortable in that, be okay with that. And that we don't have to compare ourselves to others. Whatever false sense of power we derive from whatever self-worth we have doesn't have to be rooted in other people being less. And if you're able to see wherever it is, and even like slight shades that's playing out, and you'd be amazed, in spiritual circles, we see it. We see it. And it is always based on like physical beauty. Of course, it's not just about physical beauty we're talking about here. Venus, yes, goddess of love, right? How loved are you? What does love mean to you? What does it mean to be loved with abandon, but with somebody that you don't love? Or maybe somebody loves you and you're repulsed by them. Why is that? Or maybe there's love there, but you know something in you is like, no, this isn't right. Something is off here with this love. And in some cases, to be straightforward with you, Venus square Pluto is becoming aware of where there are sort of the cloak of love, but it's really a situation that's quite unhealthy, maybe even cruel as well. And where it is we're being told it's love, but everything is showing us that that isn't the case here. Well, it's in those moments that we have forgotten what love is. And if we remember what love is, then we remember the divine that we are. And sometimes it's hard because the consequences of remembering, of admitting to ourselves how things actually are, where things have become unfair or manipulative, where there's been betrayal, where it's seemingly cruel. It is in those moments where at least being able to see it is the very, very beginning of recognizing the divine embodiment that you are at this time. And that's a hard place to get to. It is hard when we are spiritual people because normally to be spiritual is to have compassion. It is to have empathy. But sometimes we can have empathy in situations that instead ask for radical self-value, radical self-care. Empathy can take us to a place where we don't realize until we are so in it that we don't have a choice to realize that we're in a situation that is no longer representative of love and the love we know we deserve. And we know we deserve love because something within us knows that we are divine. I would really take it there. We are divine. And that's why when we have situations, people, places, things that are not honoring of the love and the gentleness and the respect or the care that we deserve, something within us, a little ping within sometimes, or sometimes it's like a screaming child inside of your heart. Something in you knows that's not the way. And it is now that, regardless of what you choose to do about it, it is now that it becomes undeniable. You can't no longer hear that wisdom within. And once you hear the call, you cannot go back. You can't act like you didn't. It is going to change things as we look at the truth of heart and where it is that manipulation is playing out. And as Pluto is standing still and then goes retro, invites us to own our power with Mars speaking in harmony with that Pluto, it is then that we will be empowered. We'll understand what the wisdom might be in this given moment. And for many people, it's not going to be so dramatic, right? It's not going to be like this thing where, oh my God, who is this person? That might be it. But it might also be our own sense of needing to be with ourselves and know that we are worthy, regardless of what experiences we've had in the past, regardless of what messaging we got in the past, whether recently or going all the way back to our childhoods. This is a chance to do the work that not only change, but self-love sometimes requires, and be open to the change that self-love requires now. And even though for some it's going to be harder than others, the end result is the same. You grow stronger and you become better. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. Well, look, I think it is all about the fact that Pluto goes retro this week, and we are going to be feeling this energy that might feel complex, that might feel overpowering, but it is in its own way an energy of truth. The depths of what it is that we feel and where it is now that change must occur, even if it's hard and even if we have to do the work. But the great thing is with a sky like this, and especially as we move towards the end of the week, we're able to identify the best action to take. And as a result of taking those steps, very quickly we find them rewarded. we find that things get better as a result of making a choice and making a decision. And that comes about first by being honest with ourselves as to the reality of some person, place, thing, or situation. And I know it's hard, especially where it is we've poured ourselves in a particular direction, hoping for a certain outcome. And maybe it's a current circumstance, maybe it's more rooted in something that happened in the past. But regardless, it is now that we get a chance to stop and to look at how much of ourselves we've given. It might be our mental energy, our time. It might be the energy we've spent obsessing or thinking or in pain or in hurt or in disappointment. But whatever it is, now we reach a turning point moment where we realize we deserve better and we can make things different, and we absolutely can. First comes the awareness, but once the awareness comes, change has already transpired. You are already at the end as soon as you begin. And that end might take you around in circles, but at least you know that the journey must begin. And this is that kind of week where we are being encouraged to start that journey and the work that self-love and self-empowerment sometimes require. And at a moment like this, as we collectively are moving in a direction where a lot of people are going to find it very hard to stay connected to a more rational headspace, making choices like some of us are going to be called to now might seem decidedly unrational, right? To the outside world, if you realize you can't be in this relationship anymore, you can't be in this job anymore, you can't be in this city anymore. You got to change things up if you're going to be yourself or be free or even just be safe, because that's going to be the case for some people out there. When other people don't know and they're looking at it from the outside, it might look rash. It might look like they're judging you, and maybe they really are judging you, but ultimately you know the truth about what you need to be at peace with yourself and with your choices. And a moment like this says, yes, there might be chaos for a lot of us out there, within ourselves, within our hearts, but we also see the pathway to a meaningful peace. And it starts by being able to recognize whatever agency we have, however small it might be, and to use it, to move towards something more, something better, which is really what we deserve. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some absolutely incredible programs starting this week. And as we start this week, you literally have about 72 hours left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, which is an unheard of rate to learn from this caliber of astrologer. Wow, is this ever super exciting? I'll tell you, I'm going to start with my own class, and that is the definitive relationship course. Now, you know, I don't like to talk about myself, and I am not going to talk about myself so much. I've sort of made up my mind. I'm not going to spill my guts over the course of this class, but I've learned a lot over the course of the last 3.5 years. I was with somebody for 7 years, and when that relationship ended, it has been an amazing journey to myself in a way that I just never knew myself before. And I'm so grateful for that journey. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And as part of that, yeah, meeting people, love, relationships has been part of that journey. And so I've had a chance to practice lots of different techniques, right? Even if it's just somebody I meet for coffee and then that's it, you know I'm going to get their birth data. You know I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to look at that chart in one way or another. It is going to happen. So yeah, I've had a chance to look at lots of charts and I've really been able to tap into techniques that I think work to help you understand love that much more fully. And we are going to go through all of it. When love is going to arrive, what you need to understand what love is for you, what desire is for you, what attracts you, looking at synastry charts, looking at composite charts. These are specific techniques. Synastry is how two charts speak to each other. Composite is the entity of the relationship itself. And we're also going to look at when love leaves. Like, what is it that says a breakup is possibly or likely to take place? All of that we're going to look at in a 5-week crash course. Now, I'm actually working on a book on relationship astrology right now. And so that's part of what has me teaching this course, because I have a couple of books in the works and I'm really excited about that. And I'm loving the process of that. And yeah, one of them is about relationships. So I'm amalgamating all this knowledge and I'm going to present it. And as part of co-creating this experience together, I'll be able to that much more elucidate and understand these different techniques and help you to understand how to utilize them, to understand all the ways in which love shows up, what it is for you, how you experience it, and where it is that love needs to now move on and you go in another direction as well. We're going to look at all of it and so much more only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Now, it is going to be this week that classes start this Friday. Friday is a day ruled by Venus. Speaking of Venus, right? So we're going to be looking at love starting this Friday night in the Americas. It is Saturday during the day in the rest of the world. And so, yeah, come join me for Friday evenings. We're going to have fun. We're going to learn. And so much more. Only at synchronicityuniversity.com. You've got just a little bit of time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class to learn from me. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only Alo Lopez, a master world-recognized teacher, is coming to Synchronicity University with a highly requested topic. He's the perfect person to teach on midpoints, aspects, and harmonics, and understanding astrology and bringing in these whole other techniques and interpretations that are going to up your practice. They are going to make you that much better. Now, I interviewed ALEJO, and in that conversation, he talked about midpoints, and it was so illuminating to me that I started incorporating midpoints, and wow, it really is so incredible how powerful a predictive tool midpoints are. But a lot of students have also been asking to learn about the different aspects beyond the Ptolemaic aspects that I tend to focus on, like the quintile and the biquintile and so much more. Well, it is going to be ALEJO that's going to teach you that as well. And he's also going to help you to understand harmonics and tapping into the power of harmonics where it comes to astrology. Now, ALEJO is widely recognized. He is on the faculty of an astrological institution called the Faculty of Astrological Studies. This is an institution that has been around since the 1940s. They are, I would say, one of the most prestigious astrological schools on the planet, and he is on their faculty. And so, you know, if he made it to the Faculty of Astrological Studies, the faculty of Astrological Studies, he's that good. And really, you will take a class with him and your practice will improve right away. And he's going to show you how to do it. He's going to show you how to figure out where the different midpoints are and how you can interpret them. And so this is a class not to miss, as low as just $5 a class if you sign up before April 30th, only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only outstanding living legend astrologer. Michael Luton is back at Synchronicity University. And this is a representation of a 5-week course that he previously taught at Synchronicity University a couple of years ago with his favorite horoscope analysis and predictive techniques. Now, you will get the 5-class package. It will be delivered on May 1st as soon as the Choose Your Tuition rate ends. And as you get this class, you'll be able to review it in your own time and space. There is going to be a bonus live Q&A session with me and Michael Luton, and the date to that is to be announced. If you can join us live, great. If you can't join us live, that's okay as well, because what we're going to do is have the recording. And so you'll be able to get the recording as well to that and submit your questions in advance and so much more. So this is an incredible value. Now, keep in mind, this was recorded when we were right in the middle of the pandemic. Michael Luton had not used Zoom before, so this was a brand new platform for him. And you can see those first couple of classes, there is a learning curve. He was quite stressed about it, but then he sort of found his groove. I started joining him for the last 2 classes, and that's really when I saw him grow more comfortable, more at ease. But really, if you have a little bit of patience with those brief moments, you are going to learn so much from an absolute living legend. And I don't say that lightly. The one and only Michael Luton at synchronicityuniversity.com. We are so lucky to have him back. We are so lucky that he allowed us to share and to sell this package at that $5 class rate. And this is for a very limited time. As you start this week, you only have about 72 hours left to choose your tuition rate with the one and only Michael Luton. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has an absolutely incredible May speaker series coming up, and that May speaker series starts this week as well. There is so much to look forward to here. You know, I always like to put the up-and-coming superstars with one big dog astrologer and put them on the same playing field. That's the Aquarian in me, and boy, do we ever have a very big dog, and it is the one and only Gemini Brett. Gemini Brett, who does embodied astrology. Well, he's going to be at Synchronicity University teaching about the void of course moon. This is a topic that a lot of astrology students want to know more about, want to understand what they're good for, what they're not good for, and how to align with the sky in that way. And so it is the one and only Gemini Brett, superstar big dog astrologer, who's coming to Synchronicity University and is going to help you to understand just that. Other astrologers include Shelley Stearns. I love Shelley's astrology. You've seen her on my channel so many times. And she's going to be teaching about the second house in astrology to help you to understand prosperity and what that means for you. Marcia Fervienza is a superstar astrologer in her own right. She's known all over Brazil. She's been an American citizen for a really long time, and she is going to be teaching a class on Chiron in astrology. This is actually super important because next week we do have Mercury conjunct Chiron. We are going to be feeling that Chiron energy, I tell you. So perfect preparation for that class is going to be coming up thanks to Marcia. Timon Harwood is going to look at the triplicity of the earth signs. And it is here that he's going to help you to identify and look at where earth energy is playing out in your chart and to tap into it to your advantage. And Jesse Innocent is going to be teaching on astrology as art and science. And he practices something called karmic astrology. It is so powerful to consider how karma is playing out in the chart. And he's going to help you to understand all of that as part of his talk. So you can see here, we have an incredible speaker series coming up this May, starting this week. At Synchronicity University, you've got just 72 hours left as we start this week to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, to learn from these incredible astrologers only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. And Thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I'm so grateful for it. I'm really looking forward to classes starting this week. I'm so grateful for the enthusiasm, the love and support that you show for Synchronicity University in particular, because that is something so near and dear to me. To offer quality astrology education to the masses is what the whole mission of Synchronicity University is. So those of you who've already signed up, I'm so grateful for it. Those of you who've been waiting for the very last minute, this is the last minute. This is the moment when you want to sign up for the courses that call you now as part of understanding astrology and the sky and really yourself with greater richness and nuance and depth. That is the gift of astrology. It helps us to understand ourselves. And in so doing, we change our entire reality. We change our life and we change the world. That is part of the promise and the intention of becoming a student of astrology. And I think we have incredible teachers now who are going to help you fulfill that intention at this time as well. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. And just for you being here, for your presence, for all you bring. My goodness, it is never at a loss to me that we have this amazing community here. And I feel so blessed for it that we've co-created a community together that is respectful and wanting to be better, more wise, more loving, always. That is the intention and the purpose of this community, of all my content. And you being here not only helps me live it, but affirms that you are living it as well. And I find that so inspiring. So thank you. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.